This is kind of strange, just a little bit, just a little weird. But the Detroit Lions have signed cornerback Elder. Now, you don't know why this is strange. You don't understand why this is weird. I'll tell you why this is weird. Because I literally just got done. Like, no joke. I just clicked the stop recording button, got the update. The Lions have signed cornerback Elder. You see how I already have it wrote up there? I didn't just write that. That was there. I literally just got done making a video on Elder because the Lions brought him in for a visit. And now he's a Lion. So, wow. All right, well, good thing is I already have my notes. So let's talk about it. Elder is a Detroit Lion. Let's get it started.
I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to our video. Glad you guys are here. And the Lions have signed a cornerback to add some secondary help. Brad Holmes told us he would not be overlooking that position. And here we go. The Lions have added some cornerback help, which is really nice. And it feels really good because now we have 4 cornerbacks on the roster, baby. And we potentially have our starting slot for next season. So let's talk about Elder a little bit. Coming out of the draft in 2017 out of Miami. In 2017, he stepped in as a rookie. And unfortunately, he didn't play at all in that season. He went down with an injury and didn't play at all in 2017. Then 2018 rolls around, 18, he barely even plays. This kind of gives me Nick Williams vibes, how we kind of signed this guy when, he came off his best season. The difference is here, this guy's much younger, and he came off a really, really strong season. And unfortunately, it was a rough season for him to find a spot. He bounced around. He was cut a couple times by the Panthers, brought in by the Panthers. He was on the Giants practice squad. And then 2020, they're saying, okay, is he going to be a Panther again? Yes, this time he is going to be a Panther. And he was a Panther for all 16 games. He started in one of those games as the nickel corner for Carolina. Now, Carolina really struggled in coverage last season, but statistically, he was their second best coverage guy as a cornerback. So that's pretty good. That's a nice thing to see, is that he played pretty well. It was by far his best season, and he's still a very young player. Since he was only drafted in 2017, he's only 26 years old. So he's still a very young player. Now, I don't know the contract details, so when I get those, I'll put him in the comment section, or if you guys got him, put him in the comment section, let everybody see it. He still wasn't insane, like he wasn't incredible, but he was a solid player. He was a solid player, and for the Lions, what this is going to do, it's going to open up the draft a little bit. That way the Lions don't have to draft a slot, because they have a clear need there. The Lions may have found their starting slot for next season. And a lot of Carolina Panthers fans were really pushing to re-sign Elder because he was a player, like I said, that played pretty well, I should say, in a secondary that really struggled. When he was not on the field, when they went to the young guys, it was pretty bad. He played in just under 40% of the snaps defensively for the Carolina Panthers. And on 47 targets, he gave up 32 receptions, which is about 68%. That's honestly not that bad from mainly the slot position. 91 pass rating, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. So a pretty solid stat line. Unfortunately, though, that 1 touchdown that he gave up was a tough one. That 1 touchdown that he gave up was a game winner against the Minnesota Vikings. BB, he did just a little skinny post, it looked like, in the back of the end zone. And unfortunately for our boy Elder, he got burned on that, and he gave up the touchdown. That's tough. That is very tough. But now he can get his revenge on Minnesota, because now you get to play him twice a year. Now, I think the connection here, it isn't clear, but the connection to me that I see here with this guy is that Carolina Panthers are in the same division with New Orleans Saints, so they got to see them twice a season. So they got to see him a couple times last season, specifically when he was playing a lot, but also because they played the Chargers last year. Anthony Lynn was with the Chargers. So I think there are some connections because they got to see him kind of from the opposing view. They got to see Elder. They probably scouted against him. I mean, Aaron Glenn, him being a defensive coordinator, he probably, recognizes that, seeing another defensive player. That's kind of where the Lions, I guess, would have seen him from. Coming in at 5'10", 185 pounds, he's not that big. He's a little bit on the slimmer side, but he does give you some versatility. I don't think he's a tweener as much as he's a versatile player, because he's mainly a nickel slot cornerback. That's mainly what his role is, but he can venture out depending on matchups. He can venture out and play the outside cornerback position if it's not a very big receiver. Big physical receivers can be an issue, so that's why he's mainly a slot. But if it's against, a smaller receiver, if they have smaller outside guys, you can throw him out there and feel comfortable with it. He also can play the safety position a little bit, but he's mainly a box / get down into the box type of safety because he tackles really well. So what do the Lions look for? I think when they sign him, what do they like and what maybe he has to work on and continue to improve on, because he's only 26 years old? Well, I think what the Lions probably like, the first thing is his tackling. He's a really good tackler. And last season, 40 combined tackles, the only 2 missed tackles. But when you watch him play, you can see that he's a very willing tackler, really nice form tackler, doesn't miss a lot of tackles, doesn't throw his body. Not the biggest stumper, but he's a really good tackler, and he limits plays really well. I watched him in coverage, and one thing coming out of Miami that was a big knock was how well he would perform in man coverage. As he's not slow, but that long long end, top end speed isn't the best. That can waver a little bit. And he could definitely get beat on double moves, which is why he's more of a slot guy. But he has that short area quickness, which really helps him from slot coverage responsibilities. But I do think he did improve in man coverage because he did play it a pretty good amount of the time with Carolina last season. When you watch him play, he does a good job of really closing airspace, keeping passes really tight where it's a very small window, but he just hasn't been a playmaker yet in coverage. He hasn't had these pass deflections, interceptions that you want to see. He's just been a pretty good coverage guy that keeps things very contested, and it's just very difficult for a quarterback to get in there, and that's why the completion percentage is so low, but he hasn't had playmaking. He hasn't had playmaking in coverage. And even at Miami, he didn't really have many plays made. He had like 3 total interceptions in his career. Just not a big playmaker yet in coverage, and that's something that he can continue to add to his game. But clearly the tackling is something I think they like, and the short area quickness, and really the competitive nature that he brings to his game that you can see. Trying to shed blocks, he can get into the box, he can really help you there. And again, it just fills out this role for the Lions with the younger player, so they could potentially, if it's a one-year deal, re-sign him. Not a need. You don't have to throw a young guy into the fire because he is coming off of his best season, which is nice. And then you look at what he struggles with. Well, like I said, the top-end speed isn't the best. It's not bad, but it's not the best. Double moves, yeah, he could get bit on those a little bit, but I think he has really improved in man coverage because coming out of the draft, people said, wow, this guy's going to struggle in man. You don't want him in a man coverage scheme. So he was really, really well versed as a zone coverage guy. And with Carolina, they ran a lot of cover 3. So he was really nice in cover 3. And I think what they like here is also because he's versatile, he could play zone coverage from the slot position, outside corner position, and heck, even the safety position if you wanted to. He can play it from different spots. He knows his responsibilities really well, and he has a really nice feel in zone coverage of where to be, and he's not lost. You don't see him lost very often. He's got a really nice feel of where he needs to be in coverage. So that's great. And like I said, he can move around different spots and feel comfortable with him. But zone coverage, probably his biggest strength. Man coverage has been something that he's improved upon since he's come into the league and since he's tried to find a role for himself. This is going to have some limitations. So like I said, some matchups, he's going to have to be the nickel guy. But for the Lions here, it's probably a cheaper contract than Coleman. He's coming off his best season. He's still a young cornerback. And I think it's just a solid move. I mean, something like this had to happen, right? You had to get somebody in here because the Lions didn't want to have it that wide open when the draft hit. It would have shocked me if the Lions didn't sign someone to fill that nickel position. Someone that could at least do it where, hey, worst case, he's starting. That's not even worst case. But, he's starting next season. He'd be our starting slot. That we don't have to throw a young guy into it. If they win that role, cool. If we draft someone, they win it, awesome. But we're not forced to start a young guy because we didn't pick anybody up in free agency. This is a solid signing the Lions have gotten to see multiple times last season. But even more than that, because, of course, he was with Carolina. He was drafted to Carolina back in 2017 in the 5th round. So Lions get a solid slot corner. I can't say I was wowed. What I'm saying in this video is based on like 3 games of film kind of in and out last season because I didn't know we were going to sign him. I just knew we had him for a visit. So when we signed him, I was like, oh, I might as well use what I already know. But there will be a film video soon and I'm going to break it down. So maybe what I'm saying here may not all be exactly how I feel. Hours later, when I start diving into this film, I may be like, whoa, or I may be like, oh, no. We'll see, though. Film video's coming soon. Let's get back to it, though. Look, tight end coverage. He's got short area quickness. He's a really nice tackler. I think all those things are great. For the most part, he's just a solid nickel. And again, coming off his best season is great. Also, I really like him as a blitzer. I mean, his PFF grades are bad in terms of blitzing. It was 44.9. But I liked him as a blitzer. They did it a lot because they could line up with the box. But he was quick. And he avoids blockers at a really well level. I don't know what it is. Something about him. He can avoid blockers in open space, things like that. PFF grades last season, 68.5 overall, 74.2 is a run defender. Like I said, he's a really good tackler, and 68.2 in coverage. So some solid grades there, and he allowed the 2nd lowest passer rating on the team and 2nd lowest completion percentage on the team for a corner. So impressive stats. Plus, he could be a special teams player. He played about 35% of special team snaps, and ever since he came into the league, he's been looked at as a guy that could be very beneficial because he tackles so well, and he's pretty fast. So welcome to the team, Corn Elder. I love to have it. This is not an April Fool's joke. Thank you, Pride, for watching. Let me know your thoughts, comments below, and I'm out.